All right, welcome everybody. I love those ones getting here on time. Here we go. You are welcome to show your screens and show yourself. This is an exclusive Zoom with some special people. So we are going to try to start right on time. I'll wait to give my formal words, but now everybody could just chat. We could pretend like we are getting together around the fire.
We don't need a fire today.
No, we are around the fire. We need the air. That's funny. Elaine, how you doing?
Good, good.
All right. I see our guest speaker has joined us, but maybe she's going to stay until we get her grand introduction, and then she'll open her camera. Hello, Naomi. You have to unmute yourself if you'd like to. In 3 minutes, I'll do the formal starting.
Hi, good evening.
All right, and we have someone on their iPad. We're so happy that you're joining us. And just to let everybody know, this is being streamed as well over YouTube. So I know we have some people watching it over YouTube as well. And so we want you to interact, but we also want to know that this is going to be streamed live as well. Jenna, can we see your beautiful face? Yeah, come sit down.
I would have thought there'd been a lot more people. This one.
Is that Adina?
Mm-hmm. This is Adina right here.
Hi, I'm Adina. Thank you for all your behind the scenes tech with your wife. I get to spend Monday mornings with her.
He didn't recognize you with your new shtetl.
Okay, it's still me. I am still here.
Hi, Naomi.
How are you?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Elaine, Elliot, I salute you.
Jenna, do you still have host powers that you can let people in? Well, Rivka, we needed our grand opening before you show yourself. We have a whole, we have the fireworks starting, and we can't hear you though, so at least keep yourself on mute.
No, I would very much like fireworks. I think that would be appropriate.
Canada Day, so you never know.
Oh, that's right. Deal.
All right, we're gonna start?
Yeah.
All right, we're setting a precedence here. So it's 8 on my clock. Naomi, is it 8 on your clock?
Not muted, right?
Fabulous. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of, you're gonna admit them?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of the rundown. This is the first of 5 series that we're hosting this summer. We have gathered for you unbelievable speakers to come and chat live with us. So make sure you tell all your friends. We have a local professional here as well with us who will be interviewing our speakers. And we try to pick as many relevant topics for each of you. I don't know how you
I think we just lost sound.
You're frozen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
How long was I talking to myself? I love that.
2 minutes.
Okay, so I just wanted to introduce our team over here. We have Rabbi Shmuley, for those of you that know him. He's the brains behind this all, and I'm not going to list the other million things that he does. We have myself, Adina, by his side. Jenna, can you wave? We have Jenna Bravo, who is a brand new JLI employee, and she's going to be there behind the scenes. If anyone has any challenges, you can private message Jenna. After the series, if you have some feedback, please feel free to reach out to Jenna as well. Jenna has already brought so much energy to our little team of JLI right here. And so we're so excited that she's able to join us here live as well.
Welcome.
Welcome, Jenna. So again, I just want to, one little, what do you call it? Housekeeping thing is that automatically your speakers are blocked, muted, and your camera is off. So anyone who's on, we do encourage you to come show yourself. This is also being streamed on YouTube, so please be aware of that as well. And what else? We will mute you once the speakers begin until the question and answer series. If you have an important question, you can either raise your hand or write it into the chat box, and we will get to it. Okay, Rabbi.
Yeah, hi there. I just want to share a couple of words. Hi, everyone. I'm Rabbi Shmuley. It's wonderful to be here. No masks required.
It's true.
So everyone could relax. We're all social distancing. So we're coming live from the Jewish Learning Center. Benjamin Franklin once said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. We call this series Jewish Fireside Chat because fire is special. Fire has unique qualities. So fire, first of all, provides warmth. It warms the heart, uplifts the spirit, and gives inspiration. Fire provides light. Light to pierce the darkness of apathy and indifference. But most of all, fire brings people together. As the saying goes, none of us is as smart as all of us. So here we are sitting around the campfire. It's warm, it's lichtig, it's nice and warm, and we're all together. So please join me in welcoming Rivka Caroline and Naomi Pfeffer. Thank you for coming on, and please enjoy. Naomi.
So I'm unmuted. You can hear me, yes?
Yes?
Perfect. Okay, so I am thrilled to be, I guess, gathering some of the questions from the participants and posing them to Rivka following her chat. Rivka is a time management consultant and an expert on productivity, although she tells me that she's not attached to her phone and she prefers not to have a scheduled call. So the fact that she can manage all of that without being so attached is very impressive. She's an author, she's a mother to 7 children, she's a wife of a rabbi, and she is coming to us from Miami. So the book that she's written is From Frazzled to Focused, and I couldn't feel more, I guess, involved in that kind of mindset right now, having 2 very young children and trying to get really back on track, especially going back to work after back-to-back mat leaves. So welcome, Rivka, and welcome to all of our participants. And should you have any questions throughout the chat or throughout the talk, just pose them in the chat, and then Jenna will gather them, and then we'll pose them at the end of the talk. So enjoy.
Okay. Okay. Now over to me, right?
Yes.
I was just like relaxing in the fireside chat. Okay. So hi from Miami, where our fireside is just the 102 degrees weather that's hideous. So it wasn't that exciting when I was invited to a fireside chat. I was like, but it is fun to be visiting Winnipeg, right? So, okay, so I wrote a book, From Frazzled to Focus, 7 years ago, and I've been reviewing the principles now with quarantine, with the quarantine proper, and then with going back to the new normal, and then now Florida's getting kind of hit again. So it's the same questions, but kind of mixed up, meaning essentially, if I can make things very simple, which I try and do, the question that I ask myself and the question that I try and show and the answers that I try and share with others is, how can we be responsive to life rather than reactive? You know, I think when we're in fear zone and when we're overwhelmed, we tend to get reactive. And that's when our best self isn't shining. But when we're responsive, that's when it's our best self. How do we tie in productivity when we're very, very overwhelmed and we really need to be nice to others and we really need to be nice to ourselves? We really need to be productive too. Where's the roadmap? I couldn't find a roadmap before Corona. That's why I wrote my book, and I most certainly don't have a roadmap now. So what I've tried to do for this evening to make things very, very practical and easy for you guys to take away is I divided tonight into 3 segments. And these were the areas that I struggled the most with during quarantine. So I was able to do some research and try and come up with some new ideas. So the first one is focus. How do you find your focus when there's so much fear going around, when the news is hideous, when we've got everybody at home, or by contrast, we have no one home? So either the noise in the house is deafening because there's so many people, or it's deafening because it's so quiet. How do we find our focus? Then the other thing I wanted to focus on was resilience. How do we find our bounce, right? We know that all of us are going to go through challenges, and you've got friends that go through challenges and it works. And you've got friends that go through challenges and they break. What's the recipe? What are the ingredients to bouncing more during this time? And then calm. How do we stay calm during hard times? And you know that staying calm doesn't just make your day easier, it affects the people around you, and you know that it affects our health also. So those are the 3 areas that we're going to be looking at tonight. And I'm more than happy to answer questions as we go along. I think the questions go to somebody else in the message box, but you're more than welcome to ask questions within each segment. And at the end, any questions that come to you during other topics, you can just ask at the end. So the first thing is that I wanted to introduce was focus. Okay, so if you look, we have a handout that is somewhere that I can quickly post it online now. I did it get sent out beforehand. I'm not 100% sure what and where, but even if we don't have the handout, we have the ability to take, the handout is just a rough skeleton for some notes for you guys to take. So hold on one second. My little secretary next to me is going to see. Naomi, do you know anything about the handout, or Adina? Or if not, I can just post it right now.
Yeah, it's Jenna who has the handout, and she was going to put it into the.
Oh, she messaged it.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. Don't worry if you're not tech savvy. I myself am not tech savvy. And the handout is just a very, very rough guide because some people like to take notes. So I guess if you have a problem getting it, look in the message, in the group chat, the Zoom group chat. And if you can't pick it up, don't worry. It's just the main topics I'm going to be going through. Should you share it on the screen? Sure. Okay, my tech support's gonna put it on the screen just in case anyone's visual and non-tech savvy. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 4 tips for bringing more focus into your life. It's very possible that, oh, we can't share it online. Okay, we're gonna forget the handout. We don't need the handout. Okay, there are 4 main tips to bring more focus into your life. And I don't know you guys, it could be that you guys are doing this already, but I'm gonna re-explain 4 main things. The first thing that, and remember, nothing I'm gonna tell you tonight is rocket science. It's like if I was giving you a lesson on saving money. It will be something like, don't spend as much, save more. You know, it's not rocket science. Same with time. Leverage your brain power, don't waste it. You know, there's nothing rocket science here. Think of tonight as a nice review. So the first thing I'm going to say to you is to write things down. Now that we have more people at home, now that we have more things on our mind, if you think that you are able to think of what things you want to get done the next day, and then they'll magically come to your mind, I don't know who you are. I truly don't know how it's humanly possible. There's too much going on. Also, on a neuro-linguistic route, it's very, very nice to write things down, to execute them, and to cross them off. It gives us hope, which we're going to be discussing later, that we can do this again tomorrow. So don't keep things in your mind. Write a list down, whether you're a millennial and you write it on an app, or you're like me, you like pen and paper. Write it down. What I do now is I write things down and I take a photo, because I don't even trust myself not to lose the piece of paper, or I stick it to my fridge. It's like my safe, it's my safe in my house. Now, write things down. Don't give yourself a list of 100 things. Give yourself a list of 10 things to do. Okay, and you might say, wait, I have work stuff to do, I have home stuff to do. Great, do 2 different lists. Or you're a Dina who runs a Chabad house, and it's okay, write 3 lists. Doesn't matter. The main thing is stop trying to think that you can remember things, because it's not possible. I don't even think there's research, but I think because our brain is spliced into so many pieces now, with the fear and the news and our iPhones, we're going to discuss that later. I think our brains are actually changing, and it just can't hold it. Can't hold it. Write things down and cross things off. It's such a nice feeling to cross things off. Now, I'm going to go on to point number 2, because you might say to me, when do I write things down? Do I write things down in the morning? When do I write things down? Do I write them as I go along and cross them off so I feel good about myself? Like, when am I writing this down exactly? And this goes into number 2 for those that have the handout, which I call queen bee, worker bee. You know, any of your friends who have beehives, that the queen bee has it made in the shade and the worker bees run around. I do for myself, what I like others to do is the night before or the afternoon before, decide what you want to get done the next day. The reason that it's good to write it the night before is 2 things. First of all, you are less inclined to spoil yourself the next morning. You're going to be a little bit more tough the day before. So you're going to write down the things that you want to get done. Write down between 8 and 10 things. You can always give yourself extra credit if you have more things to do, but 8 to 10 is an average amount. And then the next day, when you have those 12-minute increments, just take the first one, execute it, cross it off. Don't sit there thinking, well, which one of these 10 should I do? And maybe actually I was thinking of something else. Do it. So the night before, you're the queen bee, outlaying all the rules, and the next day you just do it. You have no veto power. If it's number 1 is to call the electric company, that's what you're doing. You lost your choice. Why? Because once we start to make all these choices, that's when we do nothing. It's paralysis by analysis. Well, maybe my time would be better spent. All we're doing is what I call productive procrastination. We're just like intellectualizing why we shouldn't be doing something. Just do it. Just do it. So that's the beauty. You've got the list waiting for you. Done. You're a worker bee. Get the work done. And it's funny because some people say to me, what's your favorite productivity tool? And I'm like, whichever way gets your tasks identified and crossed off is the best way. If it's a piece of paper, wonderful. If it's a magic app that, only 6 people in the world have and it's $10,000 membership, wonderful. I don't care. Get your stuff done. Doesn't matter how. So that's like the most basic way. It costs nothing. It frees your mind. You're liberated from decision making. Try it. I'm hoping of the 10 points I'm going to cover tonight, at least one of them you're going to walk away and try and work on tomorrow. So maybe this is one of them. Then I'm going to go on to number 3, which is called Power Hour. And I found this really useful for myself. I haven't done this before quarantine. And that is that I realized that because I wasn't having my regular schedule, I just kind of I kind of got lazy. And I'm not a lazy person, but why should I wake up super early? I'm not driving anyone to school. And why should I make dinner in the morning? It became silly. And then I got really anxious because I actually was behind and the kids kept talking to me. So what I did, this is really good for quarantine or going back to new normal or working from home, is in the morning, if you're able, if you're a morning person, Do 1 hour and get ahead. Don't say the laundry is you'll do it later. Don't say you're going to make dinner later. There is no later. Do it in the morning while you're fresh, while you're focused, while the day is young. Do those things that you're always kind of like catching up, playing catch up. Stop playing catch up. It's not a fun game. Do it in the morning. I get dinner prepped in the morning. I don't cook it in the morning. I prep it. I put it in the fridge. Laundry in the morning. Garbage out in the morning. Whatever it is. And then the rest of the day, I'll deal with as it comes. But at least I've taken care of those basic things that aren't so basic. But I'm done with doing things staggered throughout the day. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how much you can get done in the morning. So I would encourage, so what you might want to do is see which tasks overwhelm you tomorrow or did overwhelm you today, and challenge yourself to try them tomorrow morning. You know, everyone here is going to have different schedules, different work schedules. If you're able to, do it for an hour. You'll see that the stress level goes way down when you do things ahead of time. You'll see. So that could be something. And there's actually a real time management concept behind that, and that is, it's called the Parkinson's paradox. And what that is that a task will expand to the time allotted. So let's just use dinner. So if I know that I serve dinner at 6 o'clock, I can make dinner anytime from 9 a.m. to 5 o'clock. Okay, but if I give myself a false deadline, then I can do it at 9 in the morning and it's just sitting there waiting for me. There's no stress. Say Parkinson's paradox is super true about packing. It's super true about taxes. It's about the fact that we will stretch it to the last minute unless we give ourselves a false deadline. We have a question, I believe. Andrea?
Oh,
I think,
hi.
Oh, yeah. You
Hi,
unmuted
can you hear
yourself.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I love the idea of this power hour, but I'm afraid it won't work. Like, if I leave very early and I still have to like give breakfast to kids, do you think it's worthy waking up even earlier, like before the kids are awake?
Are you leaving the house to go to work?
Yeah.
Probably not. You might do your power hour at night, the night before. Be very strict about putting the kids to bed on time and do those things that you would do in the morning the night before. And we're going to talk about in number 4, no think lists. So when I talk about number 4, I'll customize it to you. Okay. Okay. So that's your power hour. And thank you, Andrea, because sometimes if you leave early in the morning and you want to be nice to your children, remember we spoke about being responsive, not reactive. That would be a hideous choice to do, to have that 1 hour. Instead of having breakfast with the kids, you're running around the kitchen like a lunatic. So thank you, Andrea. So we're going to go on to number 4, which is no think lists. And this would work really well. This works really well for me in the morning. I don't mind waking up early, but I don't want to think. That's my time to do Torah learning. I don't want to think. I want my brain to be empty. So I have a list of about 20 things that I do in the morning. So you, Andrea, could do the same thing in the evening. You'd be thinking about your tomorrow snacks, your tomorrow lunch, your tomorrow dinner, the laundry, but don't think. Have it on a list and go through it. So the kids go down, you go through a list. And for the rest of you, that can work in other ways. Have your list for the morning. You'd be so surprised. Even though I've made dinner for 25 years, I still need a reminder. There's something very nice about a visual. And after a while, you'll get used to it. But I personally think it's really lovely to have a visual to help you. You check it off and next. So try and combine, if you want, the power hour with a no think list. You can have your favorite radio program, your Torah class, whatever you want in the background, and you're going through the motions without having a busy, dizzy brain. Okay, so those are 4 ideas that I want to share on focus. Do we have any questions on focus before I move on to resilience? No hands up, nothing in the message box. Anything, Naomi, coming your way? Everyone's so focused. Fabulous.
I think actually we will get all the questions at the end.
Sure.
And then, if that's okay.
It's completely fine. And it doesn't matter which topic you're asking questions on, because they all weave together. It's all about leveraging our time and trying to work smarter. So don't worry if you're not sure exactly which category your question comes in. Okay, now we're going to go on to resilience. How do we go through a hard time and be a little bit human, right? And essentially, we're living through a plague. You know, we used to hear the Torah stories of this plague and that plague, and it was like, ah, poor them. You know, now look, ah, poor us, you know? So we're living through a plague. How do we be realistic? You know, wear the mask, wash the hands, do everything, but also be happy humans. So one thing that I really like, one tip, is number 5, which is a 3-to-1 ratio. And there's lots of research on this from Dr. Barbara Fredrickson. And basically, when things don't work out, okay, basically every day there's going to be stuff that doesn't work out, okay? It's part of the human experience. And it's very natural for us to really zone in on what doesn't work, okay? It's a shame, but it's quite rare for someone to be as excited about things that do work as things that don't work, right? How many times do we praise our cars when they start in the morning? And how, you know, once every 4 years when the car doesn't work, we lose it, okay? So like I tell my kids, as upset as you get when it doesn't work, I want you as happy when it does, you know? So, okay, no one's jumping up and down when their car works. But what I'm saying is that we can easily let what doesn't work kind of that kind of identifies our whole day. That's it. So Barbara Fredrickson said, when something doesn't work out, paperclip 3 things that did work out to that day. Okay, now you might say, oh, that's ridiculous. She's living in fairyland. You know, this is life. But quite honestly, that's not life. It's a little bit like the news. The news is like a magnifying glass, like going, you know, it just like hones in on the most terrible things. But really, it's not accurate. There are nice things also going on. Same with our lives. When the car works and the air conditioning works and the internet works and all the things that work. Yes, there are annoying things. You stub your toe, you burn something, you this, you that, that one let you down, that, whatever it is, you know, the list is endless. But if you can paperclip 3 things that you're grateful for, and it doesn't have to be like world peace. Well, who even has world peace? But I'm saying it can be very, very practical. It can be like you're really wearing comfortable shoes, or you're really grateful for whatever. Then you're telling your brain an accurate story. Yes, you forgot to buy the milk, but you saw your neighbor's puppy who was a delight. You spoke to a friend from Australia, and you made a cake for your neighbor. That's an accurate portrayal of life. So I really use the 3-to-1 ratio. I do it with my kids. And it's a really nice way of being honest. It's not a 3-to-0 ratio. We're not saying don't mention anything that doesn't work out, but we're putting it in context. And it's been tested empirically, it's robust. And I think it's a very Jewish way of looking at things too. Let's look at the full picture. Let's be accurate. Right? We're all about accurate reporting. So that's one way to bring more resilience into your life. Number 6 would be a hope infusion. What can you do to bring more hope into your life? If you read the Chumash, the Bible, we're a very hopeful people. There's a lot of hope going on. What can you do to bring more hope into your life? And I'll tell you something cute. My grandmother is 99 years old, wow. And she told me that she keeps the New York Times for the evenings. I just want to have something to look forward to all day. And I think that's very clever, because the millennials will check the news off first thing in the morning, but there's something nice to looking forward to something. And I think that's a muscle that in our day of, you know, the instant world we live in, that's a hard one to cultivate. You know, at the beginning of Corona, when I was trying to be a good mom, you know, I stopped that ages ago, I would plant with the kids because I was like, it's really good for you to see things growing. It brings hope, you know. So what can you do to bring hope? Do you want to leave the newspaper to the evening, or maybe just throw out the newspaper? You know, what are you going to do to bring more hope? Are you going to call a friend tomorrow? Are you going to do some gardening? What are you going to do to bring more hope? Because it's such a natural byproduct of life to be full of hope. Oh, we have a question or a fly. Question?
Rivka, sorry, I'm just going to pipe in. I know I said that we were going to save questions until the end, but I think to make it more relevant, it is far more productive to ask questions throughout. I have a quick one. When you've mentioned a couple of different practices that we can implement, like the list writing, the 3-to-1 ratio, you say your grandmother who saves the newspaper until the end of the day to have this hope and look forward to something. That's a lot to undertake. But doable, I think. So do you think that this is something that, you know, we start with list writing? I mean, these are things that may be completely foreign to so many people, and to implement these kinds of things may be challenging. So is there one that you think that there, you know, is more of a priority to sort of implement into a lifestyle kind of thing?
Good question. Very productive of you to ask that along the way, Naomi. So I would say as follows. I would love, you know, they say, as you remember, 10% of what a speaker talks about. So I would love if everyone was to choose one thing to walk away with. And what's funny is us humans are so funny. There are going to be some people here that have been list writing since they're 7 years old, and others that wouldn't know how to write a list if you locked them in a room with pen and paper, you know? So what I would say is, in line with our theme of bringing more focus, resilience, and calm, I would say, of the 10 items that I'm talking to you about, the one item that you think could get rid of the most stress in your life, that's where we begin. That's the low-hanging fruit. And then in this perfect world where we live in this very linear life that none of us do, you would do another one next week. You would say, okay, I'll do the hope infusion this week, 3-to-1 ratio next week, and I'll write it all down the week after, you know?
Sure.
So also remember something else, that some people are going to say, well, I'll either do it perfectly or I won't do it at all. And what I would say is, try and catch yourself next time you're doing inaccurate reporting to do the 3-to-1 ratio when you can, you know, if you can, or use that technology that I hate, that I'm going to bash in a minute, and set your alarm for 5 o'clock every day to do your list for the next day when you can. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I would say. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Lovely. So, okay. So we're going to go a little bit back to hope. So the challenge would be, what can you do to bring more hope? And for some people, it's just gardening, or just hanging out with their pets more, or just talking to their friends more, or just painting more, whatever it is. What rejuvenates that hope? What makes us smile again? Okay. So that's the hope infusion. And I know that I'm sure many of us have this already imprinted, so I'm kind of stating the obvious here. But when we get stuck, the best thing to do is do something for somebody else. I remember before Pesach, before Passover, I was so sad that I couldn't be with family, and it was just, everyone was so far away. And I just sent out postcards, like an old school. I just sent out postcards, and everybody was so excited over a postcard. I think my kids didn't even know what a postcard was, you know, and everyone was so excited because I just wanted to reach out to people. I didn't even know what to do, you know. So what can you do? There are so many people that can do with a phone call. You can call 1 or 2 people when you're feeling yucky, as long as they're not toxic people and they'll bring you down more. That's for a different day. But when you're feeling fragile, call someone who needs to be listened to. Do something, ask your neighbor if they need something. You know, there's a whole list of stuff to do, but sometimes just getting out of our own heads and by helping somebody else is the smartest thing to do. And it kind of works a little bit like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, where when we get stuck in a rut, we just kind of like spinning out wheels, like a car stuck in mud. But then when we go help somebody else, that area of our brain kind of like slows down. It's not so inflamed, and we can come back. We come back a little bit better. Okay, so that's the resilience. That's 3 on resilience. There are so many on resilience. But those are my top 3. Do we have any questions on resilience, on that bounce? especially during such a crazy, unpredictable time. Any questions on bounce? Okie dokes. We will go on to the elusive practice of calm. Okay, so, you know, I wrote the book From Frazzled to Focus, and I have a PhD in Frazzled. So for me to tell you about calm is a whole joke unto itself. So how can we bring more calm? Okay, so these are my top 3, but there are so many. One is to manage your interruptions. If you have an iPhone, you have sacrificed part of your brain, because your brain will never be the same again. Because however present and focused you try and be, the minute there's a little ping or a ring, there you go. There you go. So I ask people to manage their interruptions. When I wake up early to get things done, I do not put my phone near me. I am not strong enough to resist all the WhatsApps I get overnight. No way. Okay, but I know if I want to be a nice human that day, I have to leverage my time in the morning. So I at least know I'm not going to be able to resist that. If you have a phone and you're trying to get things done, put your phone in a different room, take email off your phone, take as much off your phone as you can. Then what you can do is you can do 45 minutes work and then go sit on the couch for 10 minutes and check your email and check your WhatsApp and do what you want. Then repeat it. Do it for an hour this time. Stretch the muscles a bit more until you go for 2 full hours getting stuff done, and you check your phone. And people look at me when I speak live. I'm like, all right, guys, everyone, phones out. Let's all take off one app. And people look at me like a squirrel in headlights. They're like, no, don't make me do that. But you can't live a productive life and have a side job, you know, monitoring your phone all day. It doesn't work. So either use your phone as a reward or lock your phone in your trunk, set your timer, but you just managing your phone better. You don't need to do anything else that I've spoken about tonight, and you will double your everything. You'll double your resilience because your brain can follow what you're thinking. You'll double your calm because you'll be like less frazzled, and you'll for sure double your focus. Your phone is not your friend. Phone is dessert. Phone is dessert. It's lovely. I'm so grateful to it. I can WhatsApp my family in England. I love it. But during the day when I'm trying to think, my phone is my enemy, because we're not strong enough to resist the flashing light. It's not humanly possible. And you know what? It's designed that way. It's designed to keep us connected. So your phone is not your friend. You know, if you like making phone calls, lovely. Make phone calls. Everyone needs to reach out to other people, but not during your productive time. Really and truly. So manage your interruptions. It's really a very Jewish concept, to be very, very focused in the moment. It's called Hatzlacha B'Zman. It's very much like, if I'm giving a class, I'm giving a class. If I'm working with someone, I'm working with someone. If I'm on the couch doing nothing, perfect. That's when the phone is my friend. But don't think that keeping your phone near you is a clever move. It's the silliest move in the world. Lock it up. Check your phone every 2 hours for 15 minutes, and you'll be surprised, but the world managed. Nothing happened. Everything happened. Everything stayed the same. It's still chaos. You're good. You can carry on doing your stuff. But really, insane. The other thing I would say, and this is number 9, closing your day. This will go right in with what I said on number 2, the worker bee, queen bee, is close your day. Don't just keep on working till you drop. Close your day, set your alarm for 5 o'clock to write the key things down for the next day. If you have a hard time closing up at night, maybe you need a no-think list. You know, clear off the table, return the emails, whatever it is, whatever you want to do. If you're not closing up your day, you might just need to stop thinking so much. Have an evening routine. But don't keep on going. I think that our bodies are in fight or flight mode a little bit too often at the moment. I think it's really healthy to be able to do like in the olden days, you know, like I was telling the kids, Like we would plow the land, and then at night it would get dim, and we would do not PowerPoint. We would do needlepoint. Oh gosh, we would do needlepoint, and we wouldn't start taking our flashlights and going back to the fields and making sure everything was growing. We just left it. We were done with that. Next phase. So close your day, calm things down, turn off your phone, recharge yourself, take a shower, read a book, relax, do a puzzle. It's like, unfortunately, our days kind of merge into one long string of to-do lists, along with getting confused and disoriented along the way. So close up your day, really and truly. Look at your lights, make sure they're dim. Look at your phone, turn it off. Just keep things quiet. Like, let your body just, relax.
Rivka, sorry, I'm going to interject here with a couple questions that have come in.
Yeah.
So you've given us a lot of practical advice and tangible examples of how to curb the interruptions. And with a lot of people who are now working remotely from home, they are using their phones productively, so they say often. And that may be the case. So a couple questions here. What can you say? How can you implement that sort of curbing the interruptions and distractions to a family member who is then interrupting the calm of a dinner table or the calm of time with a child or a family member? And to that point, any of these kinds of strategies. Some people just don't have it in them to list right or plan ahead or have sort of intuition of things that may, happen. So those are the questions that have come in.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Good question. So about the working from home, yes. Okay, so it's a changed work environment. But just like people didn't use phones in the office, right. I mean, I'm thinking that we don't really want phones in the workplace at home either. It's rare that someone's phone is going to be their sole way to work. So, it could be that someone works on the computer from home and has their phone there just because. It's a little bit like, like a security vest, or like a lapdog, So I honestly, like 90% of cases, 1 hour off, 10 hours check, and your work's going to get done better. Trying to change somebody else generally has a 0% success rate. So, don't bother with that one. That's not going to help you with your calm. Don't do that. And then your second question is if other people want to use their phone around the house, around dinner time, bath time, all that.
It's not the most optimal periods of time in the day.
So that's something to talk about quietly and to see. And, and it's something like, you discuss it at a different time, and it's something like the kids are watching us. Unfortunately, one of the really sad things of parenting is that the kids don't listen to what they say, they watch what we do. So unfair. So maybe just say, listen, would you consider, being phone free at the dinner table? And you'll see, love makes requests, not demands. You'll see. And maybe right now isn't the time for change, and that's okay. And that's okay. It can be, mommy can be phone free, and it's fine,
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So the last one is really funny. Number 10 is really funny, and that's the idea of a power nap. And back in the when our work day was out of the house, there were very few companies that were forward thinking enough to make nap pods. It was happening, but it was rare. But now the idea of a power nap, I think, is genius, because it's hard to be on all day firing with all cylinders. And I know for myself, I was never a napper, but during Corona, I will jump on that couch for 20 minutes and I'm so much nicer afterwards, but it was never in my workday before. So anyone who wants a power nap, I give you my blessing. You don't want a power nap that lasts the day. We call it a nap because it's a nap, but it's a really nice thing to do, especially if you're getting a bit grouchy. If it's a nap or a bag of potato chips, please have the nap, So that's, it's funny because Ariana Huffington, who who started Huffington Post, when she got out to give her TED talk, that's all she spoke about was just, we're exhausted, sleep more. So there's something to that. So I'm going to do a wrap up of the 10, and then we'll see if we have any last wrap up questions. Maybe when I review, some people will remember the questions that they wanted to ask.
Okay.
So we spoke about basically how to be nice and to leverage our time and our energy. So we have enough energy left to have more focus, to be resilient, to be calm. So we spoke about the beauty of writing things down and the idea of the queen bee, worker bee. Write things down the night before. If you need to set an alarm for 5 o'clock every day, wonderful. Good for you. You'll be more accurate the night before, and then your decision-making free the next day. We spoke about the power hour, whether it's early morning or later on in the evening, trying to bulldoze through things to get ahead rather than having them stretch. And we spoke about the power of no think lists. Just give me a list to do, I'll do it, just don't make me think. Then we spoke about resilience. How can we bounce more, especially during a pandemic? We spoke about the 3-to-1 ratio, how to make things more accurate when things don't work out, how we can have a hope infusion. Are we saving the newspaper for later on? Are we gardening more? Are we painting more? What are we doing to wake up happy the next day? That's really the trick. If it's working, if you wake up happy the next day, looking forward to something. If you're waking up just blah, you need to revisit what's going to make you happy. And then we know that doing things for other people often gets us out of our own rut. Then we spoke about calm. How can we be calm in such a frazzled world during such a frazzled time? We spoke about managing our interruptions. Your phone is not your friend. I'll say it again. Use your phone the ideal is like every 2 hours, 15 minutes. You don't need it more than that. Instead of timer. Close your day so your adrenal glands aren't just like going. You want to have that ebb and flow that our great-grandparents had, a hard day's work and then rest rather than go. And then we spoke about a power nap. There's a lot going on. We're home. Some people think it's treif. It's not kosher to have a nap. It's absolutely fine. A nap, not closing our day at 12 o'clock. So those are the 10 things I'd ask you to take one on, try one on for size. The national average, when I work with companies, I tell people all the time, when national average is 60% success rate, not 100. So if you take on one and you take care of it 60% of the time, what's that, 3-4 days a week, then you're fine. You're well on the national average. So that's me. That's my talk. I think that, I don't know, Naomi, if we're doing questions after, before.
We do have a couple of questions.
Lovely.
I'm almost able to figure out how to post your handout under the file tab. So I think that would actually really help people, especially after this talk, whether you're able to write it down, print it, just to sort of gather thoughts. And I know that I've taken a few notes on the side. One of the questions that was posed from one of the participants is about how to manage. You speak about being overwhelmed, being frazzled, being spread very thinly. What about on the opposite end of the spectrum, those who, because of this new normal and completely different lifestyles, those who may not have as many responsibilities, commitments, those who may be older adults or semi-retired, retired, how to, I guess, still be productive, maintain motivation, and I guess beat boredom?
I think that's an excellent question, and I'm sure that a lot of people are going through that, especially people in the older years that were volunteering more and doing more things. I've got friends that read with children, do guide dogs, like all different things, and now we're in a very alien society. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge because we're in a tech world. Now, I don't give talks without my kids next to me. I can't work out tech. We're in a tech world. How do we, keep nurturing? By nature, most of us like to give to others. How do we do that? How do we be productive? And that's going to take ingenuity. I would say to try and keep things simple. What worked in the past? Were there people that you reached out to on your block? Are you able to cook for some people on your block? Are you able to, let's say you were reading with a classroom. Are you able to contact the lead teacher and see if some children would do reading over the phone? It's about being creative, but not too creative, keeping things simple. Whatever worked in the past, try and do again. And you can also ask your friends for ideas, because everyone's grappling in their own way with this new normal.
Okay. Participants, a couple of things before I thank you for this. The file is now available of the handout that Rivka prepared. So you can see that in the chat window. If you'd like to pose any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat window and I can pose them on your behalf. If you would like to pose the question yourself, if you hover over your picture, there'll be just a little red microphone and you can click that to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask the question. If there are no more questions, we'll give you a couple of moments here to ask them. I'll just go into the chat. I'll also remind you that there will be a quick survey available. I guess it is, is this talk available for a later viewing? Great question. I believe it's on YouTube now. So maybe Adina, like it's streaming live on YouTube and it's being recorded. So I'm sure it'll be on there. Yes, it will be available later. Great.
I have a quick question.
Please.
So, first of all, you've been fabulous, and this has really, really helped me, and I'm sure everybody else. And I do like all your tips, and I feel like Parkinson's law is how I live my life, and I tell everybody who will listen, and I think all the things that you suggested are very helpful to me. But I'm at the point in my life right now, and you probably either are or have been, where literally even following all the list writing tips, waking up at 4:35, all the power hour type of things, you still actually don't have room in your day, in your 24/6 week to get everything done. So I'm curious if you have a kind of hierarchy of if you can't choose everything from each category of your life, and this might be too personal, but if you have a suggestion for us as to what, if things aren't going to get all done, what do you choose? If you can only choose between work and self-care, or self-care and doing the laundry, how do you kind of mentally plan that out in your head? Do you have some, maybe this is less of a tip-based question, more of a principle, if you have that?
Yeah. I think that's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. Over the years, I'm just so used to doing that 50-60% of the task that it doesn't even faze me. It doesn't even faze me. I don't even try and get everything checked off, because I know it's not possible. I know it's possible, but I would spend 2 nights a week up all night and be a hideous person the next day. You know what I'm saying? So I've already, I have no qualms. I'm probably, during Corona, I'm probably at 20%, honestly. I'm honestly at 20%. I'm behind on everything right now. And that's a choice, because I had all the kids home and I didn't have a choice. I had a choice, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I chose to be nice. Now I'm slowly going back, and I'll probably hit about 40% over the next week or two. My principles are as follows. I delegate as much as I can. I have a virtual assistant that I have a budget for. So when I hit a certain amount, it caps for that month. And that way I can leave voice notes. Okay, so I delegate as much as I can. I also try not to think as much as possible. I have my no think lists. So the home, generally speaking, I don't think about. I actionize without thinking. The regular stuff, not the not the curveballs. And then what I do is I do practice what I preach. I do the queen bee stuff the night before. I'll write down about 8 tasks, and those are the most important, and I will get to them. I will get to them. I'll set alarms. I'll look at my list. I'll get that happening one way or the other. but my success rate is very, very low, as I believe is everyone's right now. So maybe it's a question of doing exactly what you're doing. Maybe not the 4:30 wake up. That's really harsh. But doing that, but lowering your expectations. It's a plague, literally a plague. You should not be at 100% right now. You shouldn't even be hitting close to 60 or 70 right now.
Got it. So like those, there are certain things in your day that are non-negotiable, like the queen bee stuff, but even
Absolutely. And my
even
power
those
hour.
things, yeah, even with those things, it's still, even though that's a non-negotiable item, you're still at, whatever percentage of that. Okay.
And
Great.
I
Thank you.
really know how to leverage my time. I've totally given up. Totally.
Okay. No, that's a really
Can't take away my power hour in the morning. That I really focus on, and I'll get about 45 minutes of work done. I used to get a good 6-7 hours. That's where it is right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Naomi, over to you.
I don't see any other questions coming in. I'm so thrilled that, the survey will be, I guess the survey sent out to the participants. Here it is. It is a link that was just shared so people can go, please, it's good for feedback purposes. And we now have several upcoming sessions over the course of the summer, every second Tuesday. I'm so glad that we got this opportunity to open with this series. I mentioned to Adina and Rabbi Shmuley that I need something to light a fire and motivate me to make change and move forward. And I think many people are in that position now moving forward. So I thank you so much, Rivka. You can check out Rivka's book, should you be looking for. I've read a couple of reviews, and it's an easy and very practical, quick read. So from Frazzled to Focus, the link has just been sent for the survey, and I think I am also very impressed with the participation and the questions that were asked. And should you want to watch this on YouTube at a later date to refresh your memory and then use the handout, please feel free. And we hope to see you at the other Fireside Chats over the course of the summer. I hope everyone stays well and safe wherever you are joining us from. And it has been sent, the email has been sent for the survey link in the email confirmation for the seminar. So thank you so much to everyone. Be well and have a great week.
One last thing.
Adina.
One last thing. I promised I wasn't going to speak on this webinar, but please forgive me. It's the 40-20 rule. What are we living with? 40% of the time I can, tell the truth. No. So I just want to share two things. I want to give a big, giant thank you to Naomi. When I think of someone to start off our fireside chat, Naomi's reputation goes far beyond her. When you meet her for one time, she is just a ball of energy. So we were so excited that you agreed to do this for us. A giant thank you. And you look totally focused and put together to me, Naomi. So you do a great job. A great job fooling us all.
Being in my husband's in the basement, so I have.
So you've learned some tricks at least from that part. I also just want to give a personal thank you to Rivka and just share. I don't know, like Julie wrote in the comments, we're obviously dealing with a real time management expert who was able to give us over 10 tips in less than an hour and stick to the time. I had her book sitting by my bed for a very long time. And Rivka is like a very well-known, like a star in the Chabad world, helping all the Rebbitzins deal with their million things. And she's extremely sought after. And I had this book, and it is very fun. There's like pictures in it, and there's little tips here and there. And so, it talks about eating chocolate and being good enough. And then I'm like, this is my favorite. Here it is. And I went to an early child care conference, a seminar in New York for, worldwide early child care educators. And Rivka was one of the speakers there. And after the class, I told Rivka, I'm like, I am the biggest fan. I have your book by my bed. I haven't really gotten through it. And she's like, tomorrow morning, coffee at 9, be at that place. And I got the big honor of having about an hour, a beautiful breakfast by Rivka, who just saw another person who needed some personal guidance. I think
Power hour.
Yeah, I think I cried. Yeah, it was definitely a power hour that's still lasting me. So nice, thank you, Rivka, for being here and sharing with my little community that you care so much about. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all by another upcoming Chabad event. We both are giving classes during the week, and if anyone has any further questions or comments, feel free to email myself or Shmuley as well.
And next time we'll get Rivka to come here in person, in the flesh.
Yay! It's on my list. I want to come to Winnipeg. I've heard so much about it, but
In December or January, we would love to have you.
No, I'm from Miami. What do I know from snow? Good.
So have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.